Well, guys, Modern Warrior is back on TikTok. After he was exposed for cheating on his wife, and after he convinced his cult following to give him $20,000 to move because he was being doxxed and threatened. Yeah, Modern Warrior, sure you were. Your wife didn't kick you out of the house.
We're effectively on Modern Warrior's like downfall arc at this point. Because yeah, that's what seemed to have happened. A while ago, Modern Warrior made this claim that he was, he had gotten doxxed and whatnot, and that he had to move for his own safety, which might be true. But at the same time, right when that happened, he was also exposed for talking to a girl, which was not his wife. Okay. Which is like, whatever. What's interesting, though, is there's a girl that, like, he criticized a lot. Like, he actively criticized her because she was a conservative. She wasn't, like, she was like, Modern Warrior is a very hateful person. He fell into the same trap as a lot of other TikTokers have, which I have as well, where you start out making good content, calling out, like, bad things, and then at some point the well dries up a little bit, and it's usually temporary. This is like a little advice to newer creators or smaller creators. It was like, it's a temporary thing where, like, okay, whatever my core content is dried up. So rather than like doing other content or just not posting, you look for that type of content. So in this case, in the commentary case, and a lot of commentary people do this, like you look for like, okay, you're looking for somebody who's racist actively to like put on, to like, look at that, that's bad, right? That's what he was doing, which is fine usually. But the problem is once that runs out, now you find somebody and you make the assertion that they're racist, even though they're not. And then just so that you can basically virtue signal and maintain your celebrity status or just maintain like your traction. The biggest example of this is when he did it to Max Taylor Lifts. Specifically, if I could find it down here. Yeah, we have it here where he tried to make the assertion that he was like homophobic and like sexist and whatnot. It was an absolute reach. It was ridiculous. And it was like incredibly, like, it was immature, to be honest with you. So anyway, that's the trap that he fell down. At some point, he had criticized some girl. She was OXTT. She's a conservative, I believe. She might be a, I don't know if I could find their actual TikTok. She might even be, of course it's not even working. She might even be a Trump supporter. This is the person here. And he said that she had the mind of a 16-year-old. And the reason I bring this up is because he's very divisive. In this sense where it's like, oh, if he's very divisive. He's not particularly accepting of conservatives, you do you. But this is a girl that he had hit on in the DMs. And these are the DMs right here. And he asked her at the dinner. And which is interesting because he said that she had the mind of a 16-year-old, which, obviously is an insult, but it is still like a little, like, what are you're sitting here insulting people saying that they have the mind of a 16-year-old, then you're going to ask them out. So it's a little bit cut off. I've seen the core one, but this is basically what Modern Warrior says. Of course, you're a really kind person. Dare I say, quite the looker. Haha, I appreciate you for reaching out, and I'll let you know when I post it. Then they said something. Fucking Curly has it covered. I'm sure you didn't see it. I did say myself, though, you are very handsome. All this misplaced anger towards you didn't allow me to see that before. Thank you for your kind words. Then he says, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. If you're in Denver, I'd love to take you out to dinner if you feel so inclined. I posted. I hope it helps you out, etc., etc. So, yeah, man. Modern Warriors, he's found some celebrity status. He's let it get to his head. And we've all been there, bro. Fortunately for me, at the time when I was just blowing up, I was in an open relationship, so I got my dog out. It is one of the bad parts about getting whatever famous. You got to learn to control yourself. You have to learn that you're nothing special. You're just lucky for the most part. And so he pretty much stopped posting for a bit, and he kind of just he's been posting a little bit here and there. He's come back. I honestly, it's quite possible. Here's his like a promotion of like International Holocaust Remembrance Day. He's been posting significantly less. But yeah, man, this is his downfall arc. And the reason is because there's two aspects of getting canceled. Aspect number one is the negative attention you get from a particular topic will potentially reduce your viewership. However, the bigger part of it is the way that it makes you feel and how it impacts your content and like the reduction in confidence. That's probably the bigger part of cancel culture, because realistically speaking, people who like Modern Warrior aren't going to care. Like, he cheated on his wife, which I think is really shitty. It's a little bit hypocritical for him to be talking to a conservative when he's so like angry and morally righteous. But it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, shitty, but that's between him and his wife. I will say one thing. It's that like this anger and divisiveness, that puts you, when you're like so angry and divisive and so the way that Modern Warrior interacts, which is, whether you want to hear it or not, awake, like, you know, Hassan tends to act sometimes too, and I bring him up just for, I don't know, like a bigger example. That's why people have these bizarre have like higher expectations for you. They have higher expectations for you because you're acting so morally righteous and you're standing on such a pedestal, or that's the way that you present yourself, that like when you fuck up, people want to deplatform you. Again, I've been there on TikTok. Like, in all honesty, you know, as I become more self-aware of the issues that I had on TikTok, I become more like aware of, I guess, more empathetic towards people like Modern Warrior, and even like Aunt Karen and whatnot, because I've been there. Even if I don't like their content and I think it's not good a lot of the time, you know, I've been there. We also have a habit of amplifying people's worst moments. So like, let's say like 90% or even 80% of their content's good. We focus on the bad stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with Modern Warrior. He's effectively canceled himself mentally, and he's not going to fall off in this like heavy sense, but this is going to be his like less active arc. If he ever does come back and start pushing content again, it's not going to be anywhere heavy for a while. But yeah, man, like, you know, my advice to Lance from this, and this is what's probably going to happen, is like, you know, look inward and see you shouldn't be morally grandstanding if you can't even be morally consistent with yourself. But the problem is, and it's not even a problem, it's such an interesting phenomenon, is that after this thing happens, he's most likely going to become more, he's either going to go back to the divisive bullshit, or he's going to become more and more aware of himself and be less divisive, because he understands that people are flawed creatures, like he literally just showed us by, you know, apparently trying to cheat on his wife. But once he reduces the anger factor, his content's going to also die off as well, because people want the angry, divisive, ignorant character, regardless of like what side it's on. Like, that's why people gravitated to some of my content when I was posting on TikTok, you know, towards the end of my career on TikTok. That's why people gravitate towards Modern Warrior. That's why people gravitate towards Aunt Karen. They like the ignorant, they like the ignorance, they like the yelling, they like the anger, they like the unbridled rage, they like the justification in their own ignorant thoughts. That's what people generally like. They like other people to justify their ignorant thoughts. And like, yeah, I do like that. It's much easier to identify in like racist people, like active, like white supremacist type racist people, but also it is, you can identify within like progressive ideology as well. You know, like these thoughts that don't seem as bad, but are pretty bad, and you get a platform like, I hate conservatives. Like, that's a bad thought. You shouldn't hate conservatives. You can dislike conservative ideology, or some people who tend to align with, you know, the conservative ideology, especially people who may invalidate like particular identities that you have. But that's not all conservatives. I'd say that's not even most conservatives. Most conservatives don't really care. I know that sounds shitty, but it's not in their bubble. They're worried about their problems just like you're worried about your problems. And this is the Modern Warrior gives people the ability to feel justified in like their anger towards a particular group of people, and like, you know, be divisive and whatnot. So yeah, I guess we'll see where time goes, but I guess take the L right now, Lance. Take the L, brother. Was a girl cheat on him setting up, or is it leaked? I don't really know. I honestly do not know. I think she leaked it, so